Future of Artificial Intelligence: How the First Artificial General Intelligence Will Transform Society. We discovered how to use power. We know how the Big Bang created our universe, mostly. And of course, we've placed a man on the moon, to use a cliché. The human brain is, by default, the most complicated entity in the known world, or at least in our knowledge of it, despite the fact that contemporary science still has a long way to go before it can fully comprehend it. Given this fact, it shouldn't come as much of a surprise that we haven't yet created an artificial intelligence, AI, that can compete with humans. The next major step in AI research is artificial general intelligence, which can take the form of humanoid AI like Samantha, her, and TARS, Interstellar, or non-humanoid AI like Data, Star Trek, Rachel, Blade Runner, and David, Prometheus, AGI, sometimes also referred to as HLMI or human-level machine intelligence. In other words, the difficulty facing AI researchers is, how can we create an artificial mind that is equivalent to our own when we don't even fully comprehend how our own mind functions? We'll look at this issue, how people will fare against future AGIs, and how society will alter the day the first AGI is revealed to the public. What is an artificial general intelligence? Create an AI that is capable of defeating the best chess, Jeopardy, and Go players with ease, Deep Blue, Watson, and AlphaGo respectively. Build an AI that can provide you with answers to any inquiry, make product recommendations, or oversee a fleet of ride-sharing taxis. Whole multi-billion-dollar businesses are based on them: Google, Amazon, Uber. Even a driving AI that can take you across the nation is something we're working on. But, if you expect an AI to read a children's book and comprehend the plot, meaning, or morals it is attempting to convey, or if you ask an AI to distinguish between a picture of a cat and a zebra, you'll wind up short-circuiting more than a few computers. Nature spent millions of years creating a computer system, the brain, that specializes in analyzing, comprehending, picking up new information, adapting, and acting in novel contexts. Contrast that with the past 50 years of computer science, which concentrated on designing computing systems that were specific to the jobs they were intended for. In other words, whereas the artificial computer is a specialist, the human computer is a generalist. AGIs are intended to be more intelligent than current AIs, with the ability to learn through experience rather than via explicit programming. In the real world, this would entail a future AGI learning how to read, write, and tell jokes, as well as how to walk, run, and ride a bike, largely on its own, through experience in the world, using whatever body parts or sensory organs/devices we give it, as well as through interaction with other AI and humans. What is required to create an artificial general intelligence? Though technically challenging, it must be feasible to create an AGI. A sufficiently powerful general-purpose computer should, in theory, be able to reproduce or mimic whatever a physical item is capable of doing, according to a strongly believed characteristic of the laws of physics called the universality of computing. And yet, it's challenging. Thankfully, there are many intelligent AI researchers working on the problem, along with plenty of funding from corporations, governments, and the military to support them, and they have so far identified 3 key components they believe must be resolved in order to introduce an AGI into our world. Large data. The most popular method for developing AI uses a method known as deep learning. Deep learning refers to a particular kind of machine learning system that consumes enormous amounts of data, crunches that data in a network of simulated neurons, modeled after the human brain, and uses the results to program its own insights. As an illustration, Google's AI was fed hundreds of cat photographs in 2017 to train its deep learning system to distinguish between different cat breeds as well as identify cats. Shortly after, they announced the upcoming release of Google Lens, a new search app that enables users to take a picture of anything and Google will not only identify it but also provide helpful contextual content describing it. This feature is helpful when traveling and you want to learn more about a particular tourist attraction. Yet, without the billions of photos that are already available in its image search engine, Google Lens would also not be conceivable. Yet, the combination of large data and deep learning is still insufficient to create an AGI. Improved algorithms. DeepMind, a Google company and industry pioneer in AI, created waves over the past decade by fusing the benefits of deep learning with reinforcement learning, a complementary machine learning strategy that tries to educate AI how to operate in novel contexts in order to accomplish a predetermined objective. Due to this hybrid strategy, DeepMind's top AI, AlphaGo, was able to defeat the greatest AlphaGo players utilizing moves and methods that had never before been used in the game. AlphaGo learned how to play AlphaGo by downloading the rules and analyzing the techniques of expert human players. Similar to this, in DeepMind's Atari software experiment, an AI was given a camera to view a standard game screen, was given the capacity to enter game commands, like joystick buttons, and was given the only objective of raising its score. The outcome? It quickly learned itself how to play and become an expert at hundreds of vintage arcade games. Even while these early accomplishments are great, there are still some significant problems to be resolved. One such project is teaching AI the chunking technique that human and animal brains are particularly adept at. Simply said, you may envision your ultimate objective, purchasing an avocado, and have a general idea of how to get there when you decide to go grocery shopping, leave the house, visit the grocery store, buy the avocado, return home. You don't, however, prepare for every breath, every step, and every scenario that could arise while traveling there. Instead, you have an idea, chunk, of where you want to go and you may adjust your journey to fit any unexpected circumstances. The capacity to pick a goal and follow it without knowing every detail in advance and despite every impediment or environmental change we could meet is one of the fundamental advantages human brains still have over AI, despite how common it may seem to you. Without the requirement for the aforementioned huge data, AGIs might learn more effectively with the help of this ability. The capacity to comprehend a book's meaning or context in addition to reading it presents another difficulty. The long-term objective is for an AI to be able to read a newspaper item and accurately respond to a variety of questions about what it read, something similar to writing a book report. With this capability, an AI can crunch meaning instead of just crunching numbers like a calculator. The ultimate development of an AGI will mostly depend on improvements made to a self-learning algorithm that can replicate the human brain, but the AI community also need improved hardware. Increased hardware. An AGI won't be feasible with the present strategies described above unless we significantly increase the processing power available to execute it. The typical human's mental capacity is about equal to 1 exaflop, which is equal to 1,000 petaflops. Flop stands for floating point operations per second and represents the speed of processing. This is only for perspective. In contrast, the world's most potent supercomputer, Japan's AI Bridging Cloud, will operate at 130 petaflops by the end of 2018, a far cry from 1 exaflop. Both the US and China are trying to create their own exaflop supercomputers by 2022, but even if they are successful, it may not be enough. These supercomputers cost several $100 million to build, need several hundred square meters of area, and run on several dozen megawatts of electricity. A human brain requires just 20 watts of electricity, takes up around 50 centimeters of space within the skull, and there are 7 billion of us. In other words, we need to discover how to generate AGIs far more efficiently if we want to make them as prevalent as humans. To that aim, AI researchers are starting to think about supplying quantum computers to the AIs of the future. These computers operate in a fundamentally different manner from the computers we've been developing for the past 50 years, as is further explained in the Quantum Computers part of our Future of Computing series. A single quantum computer, once mastered by the 2030s, will outperform every supercomputer currently in use worldwide in 2018. In addition, they will be far smaller and more energy efficient than present supercomputers. How would an artificial general intelligence be better than a human? Assuming that every issue mentioned above is resolved and that AI researchers are successful in developing the first AGI. How would the mind of an AGI differ from our own? We must divide AGI minds into three groups in order to respond to questions of this nature: those that inhabit robot bodies, such as Data from Star Trek, those that have physical forms but are wirelessly connected to the internet or cloud, such as Agent Smith from The Matrix, and those without physical forms that exist solely in computers or online, Samantha from Her. AGIs will first compete on an equal footing with human minds in a robotic body cut off from the internet, but with several advantages. Memory. Depending on how the AGI's artificial form is created, they will undoubtedly have better short-term and long-term memories than people do. Yet, assuming we create robots to resemble humans, there is a practical limit to how much hard drive space you can fit into a robot. Because of this, the long-term memory of AGIs will behave very similarly to that of humans, deliberately forgetting memories and information that are judged not vital for its continued operation, in order to free up disk space. Speed. Modern microprocessors operate at gigahertz levels, which is millions of times faster than neurons. Human brain neurons have a performance limit of about 200 Hz. This implies that future AGIs will digest information and reach judgments more quickly than humans. Remember, too, that just because an AGI can reach choices more quickly does not always guarantee that it will do it more intelligently or correctly than humans. Performance. The human brain becomes fatigued if it works for an extended period of time without rest or sleep, and when it does, it loses its memory and its capacity for learning and reasoning. AGIs won't have such weakness, provided they receive frequent recharges, electricity. Upgradability. For a person, developing a new habit, skill, or career might take weeks of practice, months of study, or years of study. Similar to how you constantly update the operating system on your computer, an AGI will be able to learn both through direct data transfer and experience-based learning, like humans do. These updates may concern new talents or performance enhancements for the AGI's physical form. Let's now examine AGIs that are both physically present and wirelessly linked to the internet/cloud. As compared to AGIs that are not linked, the distinctions we may observe with this level include: memory. These AGIs will benefit from excellent long-term memory in addition to all the short-term advantages of the previous AGI class, since they can upload their memories to the cloud and access them whenever they are needed. This memory will obviously not be available in places with poor connectivity, but as more of the world comes online in the 2020s and 2030s, this issue will lessen. Speed. Depending on the sort of challenge this AGI must overcome, they can draw on the greater computational power of the cloud. Performance. There is no distinction between linked and disconnected AGIs. The only way this AGI differs from others in terms of upgradability is that they can obtain upgrades wirelessly and in real time, rather than needing to go to an upgrade depot and plug in. Collective. Humans evolved as the planet's dominant species not because we were the biggest or strongest creatures, but rather because we figured out how to work together to accomplish common objectives, such as hunting down woolly mammoths or constructing the International Space Station. This cooperation would be enhanced by a group of AGIs. A future AGI team or hive mind might hypothetically do tasks far more quickly than a team of humans if it has all the cognitive advantages outlined above and the capacity to communicate wirelessly both in person and across great distances. The last sort of AGI is one that doesn't have a physical body, runs entirely within a computer, and has access to all of the internet information and computational resources that its designers provided. These AGIs typically appear as knowledgeable virtual assistants or companions or as the vivacious operating system of a starship in sci-fi movies and literature. Yet, this AI will be distinct from the other two types of AGI in the following ways. Speed, indefinite or, at least to the limits of the hardware it has access to. Imagination, infinite. Performance, better decision-making as a result of access to supercomputing facilities. Absolute, real-time, and with an infinite number of cognitive improvements are available. Naturally, this AGI category won't require any physical enhancements until they are made to the supercomputers it is running in, as it lacks a physical robot form. Collective, much like the last AGI subtype, this bodiless AGI will work well with its fellow AGIs. Yet, these AGIs will often hold positions of leadership in a larger AGI collective because to their more direct access to limitless processing power and internet resources. Will the first artificial general intelligence be produced by humans when? The AI research community does not have a specific time frame for when they anticipate creating a functional AGI. Leading AI researchers Nick Bostrom and Vincent C. Muller, however, averaged down the range of opinions to 3 potential years in a 2013 survey of 550 of the world's best AI experts. Average year for optimism, 10% likelihood 2022. Average feasible year, with 50% chance, is 2040. Year 2075 is the median gloomiest year, 90% chance. It doesn't really matter how accurate these projections are. What matters is that the great majority of researchers in the field of artificial intelligence, AI, think we will create an AGI during our lifetimes and quite early in this century. How mankind will evolve as a result of developing artificial general intelligence. In the final volume of this series, we thoroughly examine the effects of these new AI. Having said that, we'll suppose for the sake of this chapter that the development of an AGI will be quite similar to the social reaction we'll encounter should humans discover life on Mars. One group will be unaware of the importance and continue to believe that scientists are making a great deal out of building yet another more potent computer. Another group, perhaps made up of Luddites and religious types, will be afraid of this AGI because they believe it is a monstrosity that will try to wipe out mankind in the form of Skynet. In all of its incarnations, AGIs will be vigorously opposed by this camp. The third group, on the other hand, will see this creation as a contemporary spiritual occurrence. This AGI will be a brand new kind of life in all the important aspects, one that thinks differently than we do and has objectives that are distinct from our own. When an AGI is developed, humans will no longer only coexist on Earth with animals but also with a new species of artificial creatures that have intellect equal to or greater than our own. AGIs will be used by commercial interests in the fourth camp to solve a variety of business objectives, including addressing labor market shortages and speeding the creation of new products and services. In order to understand how to control AGIs, lawmakers from all governmental levels will trip over themselves. The moralizing and philosophical arguments over whether to consider these AGIs as property or as people will be resolved at this level. The military and national security services will be the ultimate camp. Actually, there's a significant risk that this camp alone will cause the public release of the first AGI to be postponed by months or perhaps years. Why? Because the development of an AGI will soon result in the development of an artificial superintelligence, ASI, which will pose a much greater geopolitical danger than the development of the nuclear weapon.